I'm Mily.
I'm Marley. Earlier this month, we gave you a brief introduction about galaxies, and now this episode, we're going to do a bit of a deeper dive into current science being done to study them.
The James Webb Space Telescope, which we will be referring to as the JWST, launched into space on December 25th, 2021, and we got the first image from it this past summer. It is an international collaboration between NASA, the European Space Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency.
Well done, Canada. It is allowing us to see even deeper into space than previous space-based telescopes like the Hubble Space Telescope were able to, and see distant objects like galaxies in even more detail.
We're looking at some of the distant galaxies that it took images of right above here right now.
In this episode, we're going to look at how Webb and similar telescopes study what is inside of these galaxies. Welcome to Space Jams. JWST is a telescope that uses the infrared light part of the light spectrum instead of just visible light. Infrared rays are longer than visible rays and can allow us to see things that we can't with visible light. For example, through clouds of dust and gas that obscure visible light. This is an image of the Carina Nebula imaged using Webb. The telescope has a very large mirror, 6.5 meters, which enables it to collect 6 times the light than the Hubble Space Telescope, its predecessor. More light means more information, which means we can see further into our universe and farther back in time. The light from this galaxy was emitted 13.1 billion years ago and was imaged using the microshutter array in its near-infrared spectrograph or NIRSPEC instrument. This is the first time that we have had instruments like this that are sensitive enough to study these very early galaxies. This graph from NASA shows how the spectra of the light from the galaxy was stretched out to reveal what gases are present, which can give clues into how stars are forming and the amount of dust it might contain.
When astronomers split up the light coming from a galaxy into something called spectra, they can tell a lot about the galaxy, including its temperature, its distance, and what elements are present. They can tell what kind of elements are there because each element has its own distinct spectra, kind of like a fingerprint.
We are going to demonstrate this using a very simple version of a spectrograph, which is what I have here. In these 2 tubes, I have the 2 most common elements we have in our star, the sun, hydrogen and helium. This device is going to send an electrical current through those tubes, heating up the elements and having them emit light, or photons. We will be able to see the spectra of those elements, or that light fingerprint, through this prism. Ready?
Yeah.
Awesome. There we go. I've started with hydrogen, and let's turn on our machine. You can see the glow, and you're able to see about 3 lines through the prism there. A bright red, 1 blue, and 1 a bit fainter blue. Now, let's take a look at helium. We can already tell that it's glowing a different color than the hydrogen. And if we look at our spectra, you'll see a lot of differences, many different lines. Most notably now, we have a orangish line in our spectra and much clearer green. And overall, the lines are a bit stronger than the hydrogen.
We can also use a computerized spectrograph to take a spectrograph of burning chemical compounds.
Burning what?
Come back over here. Watch the torch here. Okay, so we've got a propane torch, and I've got some isopropyl alcohol solution, and we're going to see what the spectrograph of that looks like when we make a fireball. Ready? You can see that.
How is this related to galaxies?
Because galaxies are made up of billions of stars, which are just giant fireballs of plasma.
Close enough, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, I was supposed to say don't try this at home. Don't try this one at home, though, because there's a lot of fire, even with an adult. Probably not a good idea. But you can come to the Space Center, because we do this demo in one of our ground station shows, which is pretty cool.
Thanks for joining us to see how we are learning even more about galaxies using tools like the James Webb Space Telescope.
Join us next month, where we're going to be putting the science in science fiction.
See you next time!